Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Infinite. And this is a new Paramount Plus original film coming out on their streaming service, which, besides SpongeBob Sponge on the Run, really hasn't had anything else. And this film focuses on a man who begins to remember a bunch of experiences from past lives and finds out that he's part of this group of eternal beings who through reincarnation live throughout the centuries, and one of them's evil now and wants to destroy it all. And this film is directed by Anton Fuqua, who has previously done Training Day, The Equalizer, and The Magnificent Seven, a lot of Denzel work. And this film doesn't really feel like it has a whole lot of personality to it. I wouldn't look at this film and be like, Anton Fuqua directed this. It feels very bland. And honestly, the only real interesting moments in the film are when there's a bunch of action going on. And the action in this, there's a really cool opening sequence where you have Dylan O'Brien, who just pops up for this very specific scene, is blasting through the streets in a Ferrari, which is really cool. Except throughout the film, in this sequence, and especially some other sequences when explosions happens, it looks really fake. And when there's fire, it looks really fake. But in general, this opening sequence is awesome and really grabs your attention. Dylan O'Brien does a fine job in this pretty limited role that he has. And then bam, Mark Wahlberg shows up, and you're with Mark Wahlberg the rest of this film, and he's incredibly bland in this film. And he is saddled with some of the worst attempts at one-liners that are so bad. And, there's a decent amount of his lines that are just these terrible one-liners. And then the vast majority of the dialogue in this film is just pure exposition, because they're trying to explain so much in this film, and it still doesn't make sense. It still doesn't stay to the rules, supposedly, that it's setting up. Things don't make sense. There's a stinger at the end of the film that, in the context of all the other explanations of all this reincarnation and memories and stuff like that, makes no sense. And you're just like, what? And obviously, it just leaves things open this is infinite. This is going to keep on going forever and over and ever and ever. And which means they can make infinite sequels. I would not be signed up for them, because there's one moment, you have Jason Mantzoukas, who's a very strange character, which he is most of the time. It's completely wasted, but at one point, basically he's like, you have to do this waterboarding thing for you to be able to get your memory back. And Mark Wahlberg's actual line is, I have a lot of feelings about getting drowned. And he's like what? And he's like, I don't like it. And I'm just sitting watching this film, and I'm like, I don't like this. And it's really sad that that's my big reaction to this. But all the performances, you have Mantzoukas, who is wasted. Mark Wahlberg's really bland. And there's no personality that he brings to this. Sophie Cookson, who's supposed to be a bigger character, just mugs at the camera, staring and pouting her lips. And then you have Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is so weird in this movie. Such big, bold, odd choices, and it kind of works. At least it's the most memorable thing, along with the action, the Ferrari chase scene at the beginning. And Chiwetel Ejiofor's really weird characterization are only the two things I'm actually going to remember about this movie, an hour after I watched it. And the tricky thing about this film is, it has some fun action, but in between, it's just insufferable exposition and just bland and just dull. And you hope for more action, but even it's not completely 100% committed to being this great big budget action sequences, because some of it still looks really flimsy. And in the end, the characters aren't very interesting at all. This film feels very derivative of a lot of other things, and there's not a whole lot to latch on to that's something memorable and fun. So in the end, this is a pretty big miss for me. But those are my thoughts on Infinite. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.